Well, it's certainly no secret that cellular trail cameras have completely flooded the whitetail woods. And in our opinion, that trend is only going to continue as old cameras die off and people build on their existing inventory with new cellular trail cameras, or people are just taking their first plunge and getting their first cellular trail camera. So with running cellular trail cameras, there's obviously an added cost. We get the question all the time, what is it gonna cost me to run my trail camera? And looking at this from an objective standpoint, long term, what is the actual cost of running cellular trail cameras long term? According to our data, following best practices, I think the answer is going to surprise you. So let's dive in and take a look at the cost of running cellular trail cameras over a 3-year period compared to standard SD card cameras. And remember, time is money. So as we dive into the spreadsheet, we're big on best practices, doing things right, doing things once the first time so you don't have to go back again. So, with SD cards, with batteries, we are going to follow our best practices, which we advise all of you to do as well. So obviously the initial purchase price of cellular cameras and SD card cameras are going to be a little bit different. But for this study or this cost analysis, we're going to use 5 cameras. And we're going to base that cost with our products. So we're going to say your cell camera is going to run you $300 per, and a standard SD card camera is going to run you $200 per. If you're buying other cameras, that's great. Just change out that metric. So with 5 cameras, the cellular cost, the initial cost is going to be $1,500. And then for standard SD card cameras, that cost is going to be $1,000. So as we get into the consumable portion of this cost analysis, we're basing this on running cameras for 6 months. So when we look at data plans, it's going to be a 6-month long process. And as we look at running standard SD card cameras, we're going to buy batteries and SD cards to run those cameras for 6 months. When we start looking at batteries, best practices are Energizer lithiums. They're $16 a rip. So with 5 SD card cameras, 2 sets will certainly get you through the entire season. With cellular cameras, 5 of those will get you through the season because they're going to be compiled or used in conjunction with solar panels. So the external solar panel cost is $80 per times 5 cellular trail cameras, and that's $400. Obviously, you do not have that with your standard SD card cameras. You could, or there is an argument there, you could also use external power with standard SD card cameras, but it's not a necessity. As we get into the data plans, this is where there's a lot of variables and things change really, really fast. From our experience, and we run, we run a lot of different cameras. We have thousands of customers running cameras. For 5 cameras, the average cost is going to be somewhere between $45 and $60. So we're going to use the metric $50 per month to run 5 cameras times 6 months is $300 per year. So as you can see, just on this off the initial purchase and that first year, the upfront cost of running cellular trail cameras is already starting to grow quite a bit over your SD card cameras. Best practices for SD cards, you only need 1 for a cellular trail camera. They're $10 a rip, so that's 5, that's $50. Best practices with SD card cameras, assuming that you're going to at least go in and check these throughout the season, you're gonna need 2 cards per camera, $10 a rip, and that's going to be $100 there. Now, the next thing we gotta talk about is fuel. Obviously, throughout the season, you're going to have to make 1 trip to go out and set these cellular trail cameras up. Hopefully, you never have to go back to them to check them. But with standard SD card cameras, assuming that you're going to make a few trips to go in and check those cameras, swap cards, etc., there is an added cost for fuel. The metric that we're using is 120 miles round trip at $4 a gallon. I don't know. We all drive pickup trucks. We probably get 15 miles at a gallon. So we'll enter that math in the spreadsheet. So as we get into year 2, this is where things start to even out a little bit. Obviously, you have the upfront cost already complete. You have those external power sources purchased. And, from our experience, we have a lot of setups that go beyond a year on internal batteries and those external power setups. I have a set that's been going for 3 years strong, closing in on 4 years. So you don't need to replace the internal batteries on every setup. However, there may be a setup or 2 a year that maybe go dead. So we're gonna say we're gonna have to purchase 2 sets of lithium batteries for those cellular trail cameras in year 2. So $32 there. And then obviously on the standard SD card camera, you have another 5 sets of batteries, so $160. Again, data plans, nothing on the standard SD card camera side. On the cellular side, that's $50 per month times 6 months, and that's for all 5 cameras. So you're looking at $300 for the year on that. No SD card purchases, but again, we have that fuel surcharge that we have to tack in there on the standard SD card cameras for going out and actually checking them throughout the season. So year 3 is basically going to be a carbon copy of year 2. 2 sets of batteries for those cellular trail cameras, 10 sets for the SD card cameras, the same type of deal with fuel. Hopefully it goes down by year 3, but probably not. So as we compile this, you can see that the cost of running cellular trail cameras is not necessarily cheaper than running standard SD card cameras. Now, how much is your time worth? To me, time is priceless. What would you pay not to have human intrusion or human pressure on your whitetail property or hunting property throughout the season? To me, those are the 2 biggest factors. In our opinion, in my mind, it is an absolutely no-brainer. Get set up with cellular trail cameras and forget about the minute added cost on running them.